Tim here with Everyday Tactical Vids, and today we're taking a look at this car emergency kit. This is for our family car, which is a Honda Odyssey minivan, and the person who drives that car the most is my wife. And I want to share that with you as we start here because there's a couple thoughts that kind of went through my mind as I was building this kit. First, I'll say that when I'm in that car driving, this is stuff that's in the car, but I've most likely got my EDC bag with me as well. So I've got this stuff and my EDC bag to supplement it. Second thing I'll note is that when you build a survival kit, an emergency kit, whatever it is, there's always going to be constraints. You've got weight constraints, you got size constraints, you have financial constraints, how much money can you spend. One of the things I was thinking about for this kit is what is my wife going to be most comfortable using? What does she need the least preparation, the least training to be able to use those items? And what is she likely to use? Because you can build a kit that has items for every possible contingency, but that's going to cost you a ton of money. And also you just need to think about what's the likelihood of, a certain scenario coming to pass. Now you can be prepared for everything and that's great, but all of us are making those judgments about what's worth the money, what's not worth the money, what's worth the time, what's not worth the time, what's the best investment of all those different factors. So for me, this is a kit that I can certainly use, and also my wife is familiar with these materials and can use them effectively in some sort of emergency situation. Let's talk about the different items and we'll show you what's in the kit. As we start up here, you can see one thing that's obviously important if you're in a situation where there's any kind of winter weather. So you got an ice scraper here and a brush. And then this is a very cool item. You may have seen it before if you're in an area that gets a lot of snow. It's called the snow broom. And this end down here is made of foam, and you can basically get the snow off your car, off the roof, off the hood, off the windshield. It has a telescoping handle here, so you can use that to reach across any large size vehicles. And so this goes in the car, as does the snow brush in any kind of season where there's going to be snow. So basically from fall, or late fall I should say, all the way through the middle of the spring, because we can get snowstorms random times here in New Hampshire. One other thing I want to mention is I keep a box in the back of the car. This is a paper box. I also recommend banana boxes because they seem to be more solidly constructed than your average cardboard box. But I'll put groceries in this, odds and ends, and also if I'm transporting something, say like a meal across town to a friend's house, I can put the casserole dish in this, put a towel in there to make sure it doesn't move all over the place. It just keeps it more stable, or keeps things more stable than just jostling all around the car. Also in the back of the minivan, I will keep some washer fluid and some extra oil. Two other items here before we actually get into the containers. This is obviously the survival handbook. I just did an overview of this to tell you about what a great resource it is. Very basic, gives you a rundown of a lot of survival information. And this is for me just to have in the car to browse through if I'm out in the woods, and I can do some studying up and then head out into the woods to work on some skills. And also for my wife, because if she did get stuck in a situation where you need some basic survival information, here you go, it's readily available. The other thing I keep in the car is two pieces of 2x4, and they are just duct taped together, so you can separate those quite easily. And that's great for if you have a car that's stuck in the snow or something and you need to get some traction underneath the snow, or underneath the tire I should say. You've got something like some 2x4s, and you can use it for a variety of different purposes. So these are the last two items that are basically outside of the containers. Now we'll actually look to see what's inside the containers. Starting off here, you can see I have a Cobalt Toolbox, 26 inches end to end. Got it at Lowe's for about 20 bucks. Has the main section here, and then kind of what looks like a tackle box on top. You can store more items in this clear section. On the outside, I've got a whistle and also one of the ultimate survival technology lights that if you turn the battery around, it'll be a strobe light. So that's easily accessible right on the outside of the box. And then, let me just put the handle down. I'll zoom in a little bit here. You can see on the top what I've done is list all the items that are actually in the box, so that if I need it, or say my wife needs it and she doesn't know where all the different items are, she can just look at this and say, okay, in this box are these items, and she can also see that in the other clear box I have included in the back of the car, so there are some different items in there. Let's open this up and take a look inside here. Over here we have our writing utensils, so pens, pencils, highlighters, permanent markers. Some dryer lint to get a fire started, all bagged up and ready to go. Ear protection, we have some earplugs. Reflective tape, if you did have to go somewhere at night, you could put this on clothing, around your ankle, around your wrist, on a bag. to be a little bit more visible. 2 light sticks, and these can be used for signaling obviously, but also good to keep kids entertained if you're stuck on the side of the road and waiting for help to come. That's a good option to have there. Got a lighter here and also a ferro rod, so we've got ways to get a fire going if you needed that. Down here we have a pencil sharpener, and that's obviously to sharpen your pencil for writing, but also you could use this to create shavings if you wanted to get a fire going, and I've got a quick tip on that here on the Everyday Tactical Vids channel, so just check that out. I'll put a link down below. I have a notepad for taking notes or writing things down, and then here is an old cell phone, and I have the charger in the lower portion of the box, so if you did forget your phone one day, there's always a cell phone here in the car. You could plug in the charger and you could actually dial 911, because even old cell phones can be used to dial 911. Somebody posted this on an earlier video and I just thought what a great idea, so here's a great way to repurpose an old cell phone for emergency use should you come across a situation where you need to get in touch with 911. 2 things I forgot to mention quickly. The first is this, which is Potable Aqua, and this is a way to purify water. You have the water treatment here on the left, and then this over here, PA Plus, to neutralize the taste of the tablets that do treat the water. Looking into the box, you can see we have this removable tray on top, and then all the rest of the items are underneath. Over in this section, you can see I've got a bandana, multiple uses for that, from medical uses to filtering some of the grit out of water if you had to do that. Lots of purposes for a bandana. Here's a very bright reflective vest, so if you had to be outside the car at night, that can be used for that. A bright orange hat, obviously for warmth, but also something that's going to stand out. It's not reflective, but it is quite bright. A couple garbage bags. These are just, like Walmart market basket store bags, so you can use these for general cleanup or a lot of other purposes. I do have a SOL survivor blanket, or survival blanket, I should say. That's in there. Poncho. Down here we've got some toe warmers, and underneath we have some other hand warmers. Here's the charger for the phone. Couple lights. This is another one of those Husky crank flashlights, so that'll work. Even if you don't have batteries for your other light, you can crank this and it'll work. We got a mini mag here, and this one is, I put the LED converter in that, so that's a little bit brighter than the old school ones. And then we've got some Condor gloves, and these are just gloves I had. I've used out at the range sometimes, but they're kind of equivalent to something like a mechanic's glove, so they have a little extra protection and they'll give you a little bit of warmth, but just general use to have a good pair of gloves. That's why I have these in the pack. In the lower portion of the box, you can see I've got Gorilla Tape, tons of uses for this. You have a fixed blade. This is the SCHF 13 from Schrade. Great little fixed blade survival knife. I do have a couple Luna bars and a Cliff Bar, just some general nutrition to tide you over. I've got this very beefy, ever-ready flashlight, and the main reason I got it, I'll just show you right here. You can see 130 hours of runtime. So that's going to give you a lot of light for quite a long time, and not super expensive. So I keep this here in the car kit. Some suntan lotion if you do get stranded. Good if you need to be out in the sun, that you have this to protect your skin. I've got a metal water bottle here, and I could boil water in that if I had to. Not the best situation, with the paint, and it's a lined bottle, but still you could use this to either carry water or boil water. I've got this, which is from J-Tech, a tactical gear company, and this is one of those foldable, or not foldable, but stuffable backpacks. It's got those 2 kind of paracord straps that go over your shoulders, and this isn't going to carry a lot of weight, but if you did have to throw some things in a bag and then leave the car, you've at least got an option to do that. I may throw an additional tactical pack in the back of the minivan just to have it there, but that's why I have this in the kit here. You can see I've got a, this is from Portsmouth Regional Hospital here in New Hampshire. This is a first aid kit, and I've amped that up a little bit. It's still a basic first aid kit, but it does have a little bit more than just one you'd buy from the store. And you can see I've got a tack link on here with some extra medical tape. So this is something you can take care of some basic first aid needs using that kit. And this is More for, I was thinking more along the lines of if you get stuck with snow and ice jammed under your car, this is an easier way to get it out than trying to get a stick out of the woods and poke it out. And obviously you can use this for a variety of different purposes. So that's why I have that in there. A couple other things. This is the Cuts-All from the Ausable River Company. Did a review on this, but this gives you a fillet blade, it gives you a saw, and it also gives you a carbide blade. So just a couple other options when it comes to cutting. Some jerky, just a little more protein. Down here I've got a multi-tool. This is one of the Schrade Tough tools. Keep that down in the lower portion of the kit. I do have some bug spray, which is a huge deal depending on the time of year. If you have to be outside the car working on something and the bugs are just swarming, it can just be overwhelming and frustrating. So good to have that in the kit, I think. Got this Ultimate Survival Technologies lamp, and this has a couple different settings. And you can see strobe or SOS is one of them as well. So you could use this in the car or outside the car. And it is actually, you can drop it and it's very, very durable, and you can also hang it. You can see the little hook on the bottom. I've done a review of this one as well. A couple other things in here, just a bunch of different options when it comes to cordage or cordage-like materials. Bright orange duct tape, some zip ties, some electrical tape, and then some brand new paracord for a variety of different uses. And then the last thing I have down in here is the Stanley Fat Max FUBAR. This is similar to the Trucker's Friend that I have in my car. It's a little simpler, but it can serve a variety of purposes. You know, hammer, pry bar, different things like that. So I have that in the bottom of this box. All right, let's move on to the other box now. Just a real quick note here. You can see I've got a label on this box with all the different contents. And again, the concept is if you have to get into this box or the other box, you can look and see, okay, this is where the item is that I'm actually looking for. Here's the second box, and I do want to note that the reason I chose these two different boxes is that I think items are just easier to get to, especially for someone who is not familiar with how a tactical bag is organized necessarily, or isn't using it a lot. You can look in the box, you know, pull a bunch of items out and then grab exactly what you need. And there's room in our minivan for that, so I'm not constrained by space as much as I am in my own car. Getting into it here, you can see I've got a bunch of bungee cords, obviously a ton of different uses for those. A wool hat and another winter hat, and actually inside here a pair of wool socks as well. Here's some rope, lots of different uses for that. Another snow brush, ice scraper. Since I already have one in the car, this could be given away to somebody else who might be in need of that type of object. Do have an extra bulb for the headlight. In a plastic bag here, a roll of toilet paper. If I have to describe how to use that, there's other issues going on probably in your life. Here's a gas container. This is a 1 gallon container. I may swap this out for a 5 gallon and just leave that one in a different place in the back of the minivan, but this one does fit nicely inside this plastic bin. Extra sweatshirt. This will fit me, and if it'll fit me, it'll definitely fit my wife or even my kids if they're in the car and need some extra warmth. So there's that. Have some tools. Here's a tape measure, screwdriver set. This has, you can swap out the bits for different sizes or for Phillips or flathead. There's a hacksaw here, and then over here, the last of the main tools we have, just a Husky style vice grip. Continuing on, we have some jumper cables. I do have a can of Fix-A-Flat in the car. I know some people that work at car shops and they say this is stuff that you shouldn't use, and in general I agree, but in a very extreme emergency situation it could be good to have this. If you've used this before, I'd love to hear comments down below. I have this as a last ditch option in case of a flat tire. Maybe for me, but also for somebody else who may not be familiar with how to swap out a spare and they're stuck in a situation where they have to get moving, so they have Fix-A-Flat in there. But let's hear some comments down below if you've used this. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I do have 6 road flares. Got a reflective ground-based triangle, so if someone's coming up behind your car and you have this set up, they'll know that you're off the road or there's an emergency situation. I've got 2 New Testaments, both for myself and also to give away to somebody else if I come across somebody who wants one of these. And then I've got a 5x7, there you go, 5x7 tarp that I keep in the bottom of this side of the container. Over here we have a change of clothes for my kids. So if anything happens and they got to swap out clothes, now I've got that in the car. Fleece mittens and some work gloves. Fleece blanket all rolled up. A towel, which somebody recommended in one of the videos, and I just thought that's a great idea. You know, if you're stuck in the rain and you're running out to your car, you get soaked, now you got a towel to help dry yourself off. If you're out and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the beach, now you got a towel just in case. So those are those two items there. And then we have a larger blanket. This can offer warmth. We've used this actually for picnics even we didn't plan on having, and then we were out and had a picnic. And then another heavier blanket down in the bottom of this container. What we've been looking at is the car emergency kit for our family vehicle. Let's get the discussion going down below. As always, we encourage you to subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and check us out on Tumblr. Take care.